We got to get out of this. We got to get out of this picture first.
Good, yeah.
Hello. Oh,
Good
okay.
evening, everyone. How are you all doing? We were having technical difficulties. We were trying to get things together, but we're here. Good Lord, we're here. Good Lord. All right. So, without further ado, let's introduce each other. Let's start with very bottom. Let's go bottom right. If you're looking at yourself, your bottom right start first, and then bottom left.
All right. Well, I look like I'm on the right to me. So I'm Danger and longtime Star Trek fan since the original series aired.
Excellent. Roy.
Hey, Roy from California, lifelong Star Trek fan, just like Danger. I'm just happy to be talking about Star Trek. So let's get on with it.
Okay, top right.
That'd be you, William.
Okay, first of all, I just wanted to say I'm not a bottom. And second, because he said bottom left, bottom right, then bottom, and I'm like, I'm not. How much?
William,
That's
just
the first time
introduce
that I
yourself,
said
dude.
top.
Hi,
You're
I'm William.
top right.
Thank you. So I am. Yeah, I'm sorry. You missed me. But my name's William. I'm the video guy. I love Star Trek, and I'm the baby on the show. And I'm wearing my uniform like everyone else, so I can feel good about my life.
Hi, everybody. I am coming to you from my last day of COVID quarantine, COVID 2, Electric Boogaloo. It's great, I tell you. Wear your masks, guys. Wear the masks.
Always.
I'm so tired of being sick. But anyway,
Or just stay
I am
inside.
Marie Brownhill. You can obviously find me here on Trekkers Delight and also Game Industry News, where I write the Unimatrix 47 column.
All right, and I am Jermaine Watson. We have a lot to do today. We have two recaps. Marie was just like, look, we cannot do this unless we go back and we basically recap the original. So what we're going to do is we're going to listen to Marie recap the original, right? And then Balance of Terror, and then we are going to talk about it, and then we're going to go into today's episode. All good?
All good.
Yeah.
All right,
go.
let's go.
Engage.
Hi, everybody, and here is your summary for Balance of Terror, which is a first season original series episode. The Enterprise is in the middle of conducting a wedding ceremony. By that, I mean Captain Kirk is. And he hears from the bridge that they haven't been able to hear anything from Outposts 2 and 3. They do eventually hear from Outpost 4. 4 has been attacked and is down to a skeleton crew. So the Enterprise heads to Outpost 4, where they discover that an unknown vessel has attacked the outpost. As they're having this conversation with Outpost 4, the unknown vessel shows up, turns out to be a Romulan bird of prey, fires on Outpost 4, destroys Outpost 4. Then it goes back into Cloak. The Enterprise basically tracks it via motion and attempts to mirror every motion that the bird of prey makes, up to and including going into a comet trail. They try to use the comet trail in order to identify where this thing is. Unfortunately, the Romulan commander isn't convinced, and so he actually sidesteps the Enterprise and is able to get the drop on the Enterprise. Kirk then continues his pursuit, and eventually basically plays pretend that the Enterprise is not functional, betting on the fact that the Romulan bird of prey is going to have to go back to Romulus and over into the neutral zone. After about 9 hours of that, we have renewed hostilities. Ultimately, after a game of cat and mouse, the Romulan vessel is destroyed, making a very familiar final speech. The commander basically says, I wish we met in a different way. I'm tired of war, but here we are, and this is my duty. We go back to the bridge of the Enterprise. Captain Kirk goes down to see who survived. Turns out that one half of the couple that he'd been marrying earlier in the very intro has passed away. And that is Balance of Terror in 2 minutes or less.
So I felt like that was taking a shot at me, because it was like 2 minutes or less.
No, that's literally because Jermaine was like, you have 2 minutes to do that.
Even better. Okay.
Yeah. And I was like,
Yeah.
ugh.
No, it's not about you. And y'all, guess what? I didn't do the intro Didn't do that.
I noticed.
So
I thought
let's do
that's what we
this.
were going to.
I switched it out. Please click the thing.
All right, and guess what? We have a newbie with, well, not a newbie, but he's new in the past. Oh Lord, people
Oh,
just
we
keep.
did. There's a newbie right there, though. Who was that?
There's a lot going on.
We have all the
There's a
people.
lot going on. Jason, introduce yourself.
My name is Jason. I'm from Chicago, Illinois, and here I am. Sorry I was late, but wouldn't miss it for the world. Not even a strange new world.
I might miss it for that.
That was good. That was good.
All right, so Marie just did a lovely recap of Balance of Terror.
It's a little easy.
So we have our resident gurus as it relates to all things TOS. We have Roy, we have Danger. Your thoughts on that particular episode? Just Balance of Terror.
I know Roy and Danger are excited.
Very excited.
Bringing TOS.
Just on Balance of Terror, that's one of my favorite episodes of the original series. I loved it. The actor that played the Romulan commander, Mark Leonard, also played Sarek. And he also played a Klingon commander too at one point.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait.
One of the movies.
Hold on. I didn't see it. Who?
One of the movies.
Yeah.
Which one playing Sarek? Who?
Mark Leonard. Mark Leonard played
Like the
original.
OG
he played the
Sarek.
Romulan commander and he
Like
played
the
a Klingon.
original.
The OG Sarek, yes.
I thought he was
Yeah.
dead.
He is. This is a
He
is
1966 episode we're talking about.
Right.
Oh.
Got a lot of time
okay.
to die up in there.
Yeah, the original Balance of Terror is what we're talking
I
about.
thought he was dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's the only actor in the original series to have played a Romulan, Klingon, and a Vulcan. So, I like that episode. It sort of, to me, is very similar to the episode we had, what was it, around mid-season where they were hiding in the nebula from
Memento
the
Mori.
Gorn. Or not in the nebula, but in the red dwarf sun or
Memento
whatever.
Mori.
Yeah. Right. And so I like those episodes where, it's kind of a, submarine type thing. It's a hunt and seek battle in space kind of thing. You don't have full use of your sensors, maybe. You don't know if they see you. You're not sure if you're seeing them, kind of a thing. So makes
Totally
it
right on time.
very dramatic. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Roy,
Roy.
I
what's
like
your
how
opinion of the that episode?
Yeah, I like how they blocked it almost shot for shot from Balance of Terror and this episode. And, Uhura got to wear her earrings and sit in the seat behind the captain's chair. And everybody was just, it was like old meets new, basically, And you got to hear Scotty's voice, and he sounded pretty good. You didn't get to see him. Hopefully we'll see him in season 2. And then, of course, Spock and Kirk meet for the first time, and they look at Spock and they go, "Wait, you look just like a Romulan. What's up with that?" So it was the same kind of feeling that you had from Balance of Terror, but was in this show. So I liked how they paid homage to that episode.
I don't even think that was homage. I think they were literally putting Pike in the Balance of Terror.
Yeah. Right.
situation. I think that was deliberate, and I think that was literally to ground the quality of mercy in TOS timeline, specifically a TOS episode with which we are already familiar.
Now, Marie, what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to, I don't know, denigrate like your love and your passion for specifically this particular episode, because you sent me a message and you were like, ah. So what were your, like, to see this particular episode used in Strange New Worlds? What were your thoughts? What were your impressions?
Again, like I said, I think it was a really smart move, because what's interesting about Strange New Worlds is it's taking place in this timeline with which we are all familiar, right? And it's doing what Discovery couldn't do, which is find new ways to insert new canon into what we know. And what putting Pike in this original series episode does is it solidly grounds the quality of mercy and Strange New Worlds as a whole in this particular timeline and in this particular canon. And I think they did a really great job with that. We got, not only did we have block for block, as Roy talks about, we also have a lot of shared dialogue that they pick up. Everything from the Romulan commander's final words to
friends.
Right, to the wedding ceremony, to a number of other places, and I was
even the original music, Marie, that came in at the point at which the look of the Romulans is revealed to our crew. That music was just, I mean,
they did their homework.
Wait a minute.
Sometimes you watch it and you feel like they didn't do their homework. Sometimes you watch certain episodes, you're like, did they do their homework on this? But
this is great. I would A+ guys, like A+ on this assignment.
I will say this: there was one moment when the look of the Romulans was revealed, and the camera panned to Spock.
No, Jimmy, you took that one from me. I was gonna say that.
But the fun part is,
it was funny. It was so funny.
Ethan Peck had clearly watched the episode, because if you go back and you watch Balance of Terror, which obviously I did, you can tell that Ethan Peck is actually borrowing from Leonard Nimoy's expression in that same moment.
Exactly.
Age before beauty, William. Age before beauty.
See, William, if you had watched that original episode, you would have caught that parallel.
First of all, I don't give a shit. Okay. Second, Jermaine took my spotlight. Now, I was waiting my turn. No, and I was gonna say something.
Okay. Do we actually want to run some sort of... That's funny. Hey guys, do we want to run some sort of like summary for the quality of mercy now that we've talked a little bit about Balance of Terror?
Yeah, sure. We can. And I have one for us
because I think it's really important that we take a look at both.
Okay, I missed it. You did a summary for Balance of Terror.
I did.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right. So let's go. This is a recap of the season 1 finale of Strange New Worlds. The Enterprise is tasked with helping to provide assistance to an outpost. As Pike is talking with his commander, his son runs in, Ma'at. Pike remembers his name as one of the officers who dies in what Pike knows to be his fate. Knowing the person and his fate, Pike decides to notify him of his future. Before that is completed, Pike is greeted by his future self, roughly from the era of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Future Pike tells our Pike that by sending those letters, it will irreparably affect the galaxy's trajectory. The Klingons provided him with a time crystal which allows present Pike to see his future 7 years from this point. He returns to the wedding of two officers we first saw in the original series, Balance of Terror. Spock has clearly gone through Kalinar, and the tone on the bridge is less than lighthearted. Uneasy with the subtle changes, Pike confides in Spock, who instructs him to make the decisions he would have made normally in order to understand the ramifications of his future actions. Or is it his past? You know what I mean. Commander Al-Salah reports his outpost has been under attack. Unable to respond to the advances of the ship, Enterprise is forced to witness the death and destruction of the outpost and its crew. The Romulan ship then recloaks. The Farragut hails the Enterprise, offering assistance by Captain Kirk. Spock determines he has a fix on the Romulan ship. Kirk, identifying a compromise between full-out war and diplomacy, suggests the two Federation vessels shadow the Romulan ship. Pike gets insight about Kirk from his brother, who cautioned him that James Kirk likes to bend the rules, all the rules, in fact. Uhura has a transmission, and the bridge crew realizes the Romulans look exactly like Vulcans. Kirk joins the senior officers on Enterprise to discuss their options. Eerily similar to Balance of Terror, we go through similar issues of vengeance bordering on hatred, the need to retaliate, diplomacy, or peace. Kirk provides an alternative to use the comet to help them identify and cripple the Romulan ship. The Romulans close on the Farragut and destroy it. Enterprise beam survivors aboard. Kirk had to suggest to Pike to fire back. The Romulans use their plasma weapon to hit the Enterprise, and they learn the weapon has limits. Spock determines they do not have enough power to make it back to Romulus and suggests the Enterprise could overtake them. Engaging in a bluff, Pike hails the Romulans. They respond by agreeing to 2 hours of ceasefire. Pike learns Una was sentenced to a penal colony for being an augment while serving in Starfleet. Kirk offers a backup plan to find reinforcements. After 2 hours, Pike re-engages with the Romulans. However, the Romulan Praetor arrives with her fleet bent on destroying the Enterprise. Kirk arrives with robotic mining crafts posing as attack vessels. Pike shows her evidence of the destruction of Federation outposts. She responds by destroying the bird of prey they had been chasing. The Romulans open fire. Enterprise can't move, so Kirk uses the mining vessels to protect Enterprise. Miraculously, once Kirk beams aboard, the Enterprise is able to warp, but not without sustaining some damage. The damage ends up severely impaling Spock. Pike learns the war with Romulus was started by him, and the only person who could have healed the two powers was Spock. Now, back in the present, Pike deletes the letter he was writing. Spock walks in and realizes Pike's earlier behavior was about Pike's future. Spock knows it has to do with him. Similar to the season 2 finale of Lower Deck, Una Riley is arrested by Captain Patel for violation of an anti-genetic modification directive. Pike resolves to fight this.
Bro, I feel like you're trying to give John Machetta a run for his money.
Man, it was a lot. Like, it was like I was negotiating a lot. Like, I told Marie 2 minutes and I couldn't get it down. Like, I recorded it. Y'all didn't see it, but I recorded it like 5 times trying to shave it off, and that was what I was left with.
Because it is like a super important, like all the little details are super important because we're talking about one of those like Hunt for Red October kind of submarine battle situations. So like the fates are all necessary to know.
So William, I'm assuming that you haven't seen Balance of Terror. That's what I'm assuming.
I know about it.
You know about it?
I know
so
about it.
What were your impressions of this particular episode?
Okay. Hi. At first I was like, okay. What? Hold on.
Do you need some time? We can go to Jason.
No!
Jason's here.
Jason, why don't you?
No, I got it. So my okay, I loved all of it. I absolutely loved all of it. 9 out of 10, hands down. Like it's like, okay, like Jermaine said earlier, it's like that dramatic zoom in shot of Spock, and it was like so right. I was like, oh my god, this is totally TOS. I'm gonna be that guy and say this was a TOS episode. Like,
because it was
kind of a TOS show.
That's kind of the point.
Yeah,
right.
They're merging.
I was here for all of it, and it's like, if you think about it, I like how Christopher Pike doesn't know literally everything that we know, because we're the audience. We know that Kirk is supposed to take command of the Enterprise. We know that technically Spock dies in every timeline. Not just every other timeline, every timeline. But what made this interesting to me is that Kirk would have been the one, because they became best friends. Kirk would have been the only one to take the initiative in the third film to go back and pretty much save Spock, whereas Christopher Pike would have not. And so if you think about it, this successfully ties in Strange New Worlds through TOS all the way to Discovery. Actually, to TNG and Discovery, because of Spock's future. So, like, when you think about unification and what happened with Devar and how Spock was a part of all of that.
Right, but did you get that it was mirroring a previous episode? Did you get that or no?
Yeah. That's what I was talking about when I said they zoomed in. I didn't.
You didn't go back and watch it.
What? So I noticed it. I noticed it. Listen, I noticed it. I actually did see the episode. I was a teenager, okay, but I noticed it when I saw the.
So like yesterday. Gotcha.
Wow. Right.
Okay. So anyway, what I was saying was.
Take the controls.
So anyway, what I was saying was, I noticed it when they did the zoom in on Spock's face, because I remember that. I remember that shot, and I was like, yeah, I remember that shot. Hey, woo. So that's all I had to say.
I was tripping on the zoom in, actually, because I had to watch Balance of Terror. I was tripping on the zoom in to the Romulan's face. Like, why is the camera zooming in? I get it while they do it for us, but like while they're watching their view screen, why the hell is the camera zooming in so they can go, dinner?
I mean, exactly. So they can go dinner.
That's basically exactly what.
You know, something else that I thought was like really cool. So it was clear to us that either the ship had exploded or the asteroid had exploded, but there was like a time delay before we saw the explosion on the view screen,
Right.
which is a definite callback to TOS. Something that we wouldn't see in modern, Star Trek shows. And I thought that was really cool, even though it was like a second difference. But I thought that was really cool.
Why are these stations on asteroids? It seems like it's an awful lot of work to go on an asteroid and then
Ask
like
Neelix, I don't know.
and control where the asteroid is rather than just putting a space station out there.
Because of the resources on the asteroid.
Yeah.
They actually talked about that at the beginning of this episode. Why they're
Asteroids
there.
are moving though. You got to keep them from moving.
I mean, they can put thrusters. They can put thrusters on them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
Same sort of deal with like the mass of say Deep Space Nine or K7.
It was very early on. It was very early on when I was watching it. When I was like, I have seen this before. Not even being a TOS expert, like I have definitely seen this before. So definitely by the end of the show, I was like, okay, I gotta watch.
I was legit like texting Jermaine. I'm like, Balance of Terror.
Because I'm like, why, William, would you not? If you knew it, would you not go back and watch? Because I was like, this is pretty accurate.
You've been called out.
I was like, this is pretty
You've been
accurate.
called out, William.
That's like
that is what I was saying. Okay, look. I'm just saying. I'm not saying I didn't see the shit. Okay, I'm just saying I didn't watch it today. Like, I didn't know it was gonna be Balance of Terror. Otherwise, I'd have been watched it today. I just know that shot that I saw on Spock. I remember the scene of seeing the Romulans for the first time. I remember the 100-year spiel. Oh, we ain't seen them in this long. I remember all of that. Don't call me out on my age, okay? Don't do that.
So I don't know if this is if it's too early for this topic or if it's later on for this topic. But what is the crucial point in which what was changed?
The crucial point of divergence actually emerged. It happens after they go and try to form the pincer movement. It's the pincer movement that fails because the Romulan commander has already deduced that they're not actually looking at echoes, they're looking at Federation ships. And we saw that in the original Balance of Terror, because there's a whole conversation on the bridge of the Bird of Prey where everyone's like, oh, they're echoes. And the commander's like, but they're not.
Do submarines have echoes? Where's this echo thing coming from?
Danger.
Sonar,
right.
I understand it's sonar, but is that a thing that like you can have
space.
one ship? Is that in the ocean? Is that a thing where you can have one submarine, having its sensors going around and then seeing something, but it's an echo of yourself?
Yeah,
this is a problem. We don't have a Navy guy. We have Air Force and we have an Army hostage.
Well, guess what? I worked on radar on fighter jets, so it's the same principle. They ping a signal, and then they time how long it takes the signal takes to come back, and then they can determine the distance and triangulate all this other stuff.
Well, one thing,
Marie, you're being held hostage. Is that what you're saying?
I'm an Army hostage. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One thing we should pinpoint is the change in technology between what they have in TOS or what they have in TNG and later on. Like as far as cloaking technology, not being able to see while they're cloaked.
Yeah.
That was something that was in the early TOS. Later on, they can see just fine.
Right.
Which I was like, what? They can't see? And I had to go back to Balance of Terror. Like, oh, yeah, I guess in Balance of Terror, they said they couldn't see too.
So if I may ask collectively,
oh my God,
it's been exactly 100 years since the Enterprise episode where they actually saw they had an encounter with the Romulans near the end of the season.
Sorry, I was laughing too hard. You're gonna have to
again?
repeat the question.
Yeah.
What's so funny?
I was being an asshole. That's what's funny.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Basically. Now, come on, y'all. Marco's watching us. We've got to behave.
Come on, William. I want to know your question.
Yeah,
Okay,
really.
so I was it was a timeline question. I was wanting to know since ENT season 4, if I'm not mistaken, that's when we saw the Romulans for the first time, or what we think is the first time. So it's been 100 years since that specific point.
No. So if you watch ENT, nobody on the Enterprise saw the Romulans,
Okay,
right? So
Right.
actually, that Romulan War actually happened. That 100 years is after Enterprise.
so
Still,
it's after
the treaty. I think the treaty is after even Enterprise.
Oh, right, because the Federation wasn't formed yet until okay. So how much? Well, damn. Oh, okay, that's a long time. What is it, like 150 years?
It's a long time because I had to think about that too. I was like, no, wait. Enterprise had Romulans, but nobody saw the Romulans ever.
Because I know that it's 10 years before TOS, but 80 years or 100 years after ENT. I don't know how, because they talked about it in season 1 of Discovery, where we haven't seen a Klingon in 100 years. Like,
I'm wondering how long it's been since they left Vulcan.
I think it's been like generations, like to the point.
I would say at least an eon, at least.
Yeah.
How long is an eon?
At least
1,000 years.
Yeah, at least to the point where they forgot each other.
That would be suggesting that they had space flight an eon ago.
Which means something happened along the way. That's a great.
I mean, we know that Vulcans are better than humans. They made that very clear. All the way
More
through
technologically advanced.
Maybe
more technologically.
I mean, we've established that the Bajoran ship, the fly ship with the wings and all that, and then there was another one where they made the treaty. Yeah, that reached that. Yeah, and then there was another one in Strange New Worlds that was similar that had the Federation flag. So maybe Vulcans in early time had that.
So I have dates, by the way, for us.
Give us the dates. Give us the dates.
So Balance of Terror, according to Memory Alpha, takes place in roughly 2266. And Enterprise is in the 2150s. So it is actually about a century that takes place between Enterprise and the original series.
Yeah, okay. And if you remember back to both episodes when Spock's talking, he mentions the fact that if they are like his great ancestors, where they had all that emotion and they were much more barbaric, even by human standards. If that probably would have been maybe more than 1,000 years ago. So maybe they've been separated for several millennia.
I think we have enough time between the two actually to start seeing divergent evolution.
Exactly. I was trying to be conservative. Danger. I remember reading. I read that book. It actually said a little longer than an eon. From my memory, it was like closer to like 2, but I didn't want to step out on that ledge, so I just said
right. I got you. No, and
also Marie,
that
divergent evolution idea. It applies, but not necessarily, because Vulcans took an active role in changing their thought processes.
But even then, like we will see biological differences between Vulcans and Romulans, and that's what I'm talking about.
It's like
isn't evolution based on decisions made based from your environment, like those decisions?
Sometimes it's like mutations, like simple mutations help you to evolve.
See, because as I'm understanding it, Romulans don't have any mental capacity at all.
No.
Wait.
They can't mind meld. What Romulans?
No, they can.
That's not mental capacity. That's
you're right.
They can.
I mean, as smart as
going
they are,
sideways, guys.
Well, you know what? At the end of the day, as smart as they are, they're pretty damn stupid.
You mean telepathic? Telepathic capacity.
They're governed by something different than.
They are not telepathic. And where did the Remans come from anyway? Because I've been wondering what their backstory was.
Watch
Remus. Romulus and Remus.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Remans, like, where did they come from?
I mean, if you would like to go suffer through Nemesis again, do that.
I watched Nemesis and they didn't really talk about it. They didn't really talk about their origins. I know what they are. Like, I know what they did or do. I just want to know where they came from. The last time I saw them was in Enterprise.
They might have existed on Remus when the Romulans came from Vulcan.
I've also wanted to say Remens need a whole new wardrobe change because they did not change not 1 ounce of costume from Enterprise all the way to Nemesis.
Jason, I got a question for you.
That's a 200-year gap. They need to do something about that. I'm just
got a question for you, Jason. So in today's episode, what we saw was a Spock. At least when we venture out into the future, the 7-year future, we saw an emotionless Spock. How did that make you feel? Because that has been something that has irked you since the beginning of Strange New Worlds. Well, actually, since Discovered.
I still feel like, I don't know if it's just Ethan Peck. I just feel like when he talks, it's still a little too strong for. I mean, I feel like, but the thing is most Vulcans that they portray are very strong in their speech. So when I think of a Vulcan, I just think of like the few. Like Spock, when Leonard Nimoy Spock, to Paul, what's the back Tuvok? Tim Russ, and even who was the dude that jumped on in Voyager? No, he was in Voyager. Vorik. I mean, they're very calm demeanor.
Michael Greer.
I still feel like Ethan Peck is stern and everything. It's like he's got to get his point.
This man cannot please you. He cannot.
He can't. Maybe William, but not me. I don't know.
We seem to have a. Oh Jesus!
I only said William because William showed interest already. That's why I said William.
I mean, he lost out on.
Michael, how you doing, sir?
All right, we just need 2 more, and
we can't hear you. We can't hear you.
You're muted, my dude. For me. Everything is so slow for me right now.
Oh, we can't hear you at all. Like,
what? I'm glad Michael came in. He took me off the baseball planet.
Oh.
I feel like I'm getting shot. I'm the first officer, and I feel like I shouldn't be shot at.
Nobody's coming for you. Come on.
I'm just saying, maybe not in that way, but it's just like, like, what? You
so how did we feel about Pike's decision making?
I got too many things open on my computer.
I mean, very little decision.
I thought it was great. I thought he did the right thing.
He hesitated too much.
According to Kirk.
I felt like he was trying to avoid.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like he made
go with
the
your
right
statement,
decision.
Jason. Go with your statement,
please.
I feel like he made the right decisions, as many Starfleet officers do, and not try to provoke a war. We didn't know, and he didn't know that the other Romulans' first officer was going to go behind his back and call forth the whole armada of Romulans. If that hadn't happened, who knows?
Right.
Who knows what would have come about?
Basically, we learned that the only person who could have handled that situation, to the credit of the Federation, is Kirk. No one else would have done it because most other Starfleet officers would have done exactly what he did.
Right. Well, and plus he's probably thinking, I mean, he's obviously there in the future to try to correct some error or to figure out what the error was that he made, right? So he's probably second guessing himself behind the scenes in his mind as he's moving forward. So I think it was kind of natural for it to play out the way it did, in that he's trying to think, what is the best possible outcome here that I can make in this future timeline. My question is when he went back to his cabin, his room, quarters, sorry, couldn't think of the word, his quarters at the end of the episode, wouldn't it have been awesome if he would have said, now that I know the mistake I made in that timeline, I can go back and fix it.
Awesome.
Right.
So I can save those cadets. I can save those cadets. I can stop my future. And all I have to do is attack and destroy that Romulan warbird so it
But I
doesn't
think
get
that's
back
the
to
point
Romulus.
the Klingon monks are trying to make.
Exactly.
is-
Go with that, Murray.
Right. I mean, because basically the idea is just that causality is complex, which is what future Pike in that amazing updated maroon monster uniform, which I loved, guys, loved it. And Anson Mount managed to rock it, so go him. But
I love the updates to it though.
right.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
He talks about how causality is complex and
Sure.
and the story backs that up because we start seeing mirrored or slightly altered fates. Like, for example, Al Salah, who is actually Hansen in the original episode, dies one way or the other. We lose outposts 2, 3, and 4. It's either Tomlinson or Martine that dies, right? Somebody, one half of that couple passes away. And so basically there are certain, the point is that there are certain things that you can't change. And that's kind of what Pike is making his peace with here. So Jermaine,
So
I
essentially
took
they're
that from
telling
you,
us-
so I'm sorry.
Essentially, they're telling us there's no way that Pike's going to get out of his future.
No, none. Absolutely none.
Mm-mm.
It's the only thing that he can do
Yep.
Right.
is ride it out.
And lifelong Star Trek fans won't allow him to get out of his future
Right.
either.
I still stand by what I say. I still stand by it that I think it's going to happen and it's going to happen and the timeline will stay the same, but there's more to the story. That's what I think.
I don't disagree.
I think
Right.
there's more
In
to the
what-
story, but I
in what way,
agree
William?
with
What do you
Danger
think?
and Roy.
Huh?
Well, when you say there's more to the story,
I think it's not just
he's going to be
he-
he's going to be disfigured
he is going to be disfigured. He is going
and
to be
in a
okay.
wheelchair.
I think okay, and in a wheelchair, but it's like, yeah, call him in a wheelchair and call him dead. But I think that after he's dropped off on that planet, that there's going to be more. I feel like there's going to be more that because it's like you're not going to leave a man stuck in his imagination for the rest of his life. Like I don't see that happening. Like just like he was taken back to be dropped off on that planet, just like in a graphic novel I read, even Spock went back for Kirk's body after generations and dropped him off on Earth. Like I feel like there's more to be told. I can't say what it is, and I'm not going to. But what I am saying is it's not going to be as depressing as what we've seen in Menagerie.
I think it is. I think it's just like dropping off an old parent at an old folks' home. Drop them and forget them.
Jesus. Joseph, Mary, and Cthulhu.
Oh god!
Anyway, so
No, don't do that.
no, I just dropped him off. I dropped him off.
It's like, see you, Pops.
Bye.
Bye. What you want me to say?
Shady Pines, Danger. Shady Pines.
So
Picture it, Sicily, 1922.
So silly, so silly.
I think it's the old out of sight, out of mind. They've essentially dropped Pike at Talos 4.
Yeah.
He's happy in his own mind.
I mean, all of that is cool.
Let's move on.
That's fine. But I still think
we
there's more.
should be so lucky. When I get that old, send me to Talus.
That's basically glorified dementia. Like I can't.
I think Roy just wants an evening with Vina.
Y'all are killing me.
Yo, so in tonight's episode, we were treated
Jermaine's bringing
with
us back to focus.
the updated James C. Kirk.
Ooh,
Inhabited by Paul Wesley. How did he do? Are we satisfied with his performance?
Look, I'm gonna say I would have felt better if he at least would have given like a wink or a nice little look to at least one girl on the ship, so we can like at least just one. Like
I mean, he gave us a slump in the chair.
that's a slump. Like
I mean,
I want to like a.
Well, it's not his enterprise.
I mean,
yet,
I
so he
think
can't
he's a
do that.
I think
still
he's a
James Kirk.
good actor. I liked the actor, but I had trouble seeing James Kirk in his performance.
Yeah, I tried. I really tried to see.
Yeah.
William Shatner obviously brings that character to Kirk, and I was trying to see some mannerisms in that, and give
Yeah.
me just a little bit more, Scotty, or something
Right.
like
Yeah, he didn't do any of
Something.
that. He didn't do any of that.
something
No.
like
Am I the only one who did not miss that? I was like super excited that we did not have Shatner speak from this guy.
I wasn't really looking for Shatner speak, but I mean, there were a lot of things that Shatner did as Kirk that was not Shatner speak, where he could have adopted some mannerisms or, I don't know, a look or some things. I just didn't see any of it, and I was really looking for it, some way to get me to see him as Kirk, and it just. I mean, I thought he did a fine job in the episode. The acting was believable. He did a great job as a captain. I just didn't see him as Kirk.
So for me, he becomes Kirk in that moment when he comes back with that armada of
Whoa, we hear you loud and clear, Michael.
whatever that was. But anyway, he becomes Kirk for me, really, in that moment when he comes back with the armada, because that's such a Kirk move, guys. Such a Kirk
Thinking
out of the
outside of the
box
box.
thinking kind of situation, and it calls back to the Corbomite maneuver, right? Where, I mean,
Yeah, no,
well,
I thought
he
that was
orchestrates an
that was a good
amazing
maneuver.
bluff.
Yeah.
And when he's sitting there and he's got kind of that, I mean, he gets this expression on his face, which isn't exactly the roguish glint that Shatner would adopt, but it's very much a roguish glint. And so for me, that was Paul Wesley making his own Kirk. I'm a fan. I really liked it. I really liked how he handled it. I also really enjoyed the fact that we get to have Sam Kirk say he's a pain in the ass.
Sam
that was funny.
At this point, right?
That was nice to hear. That was nice to hear a sibling just be honest about their sibling. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I talk about my sister. She gets on my damn nerves.
Yeah,
Right?
Down here in the South, we say she ain't shit. Yeah, like
I am reasonably certain that my brother would say something a lot worse.
So when Sam was supposed to be passed away at this point?
Who?
Sam.
No, at this point, no.
not yet.
No.
Not yet.
No,
'Cause
he
I know-
doesn't
Not
at the
yet.
end of is it the first season or the second season with Operation Annihilate?
I don't remember. I'd have to look.
It's a season finale
Wait a
for
minute.
sure.
Yeah.
And what happened with Sam?
wanna
Why
say
is
that, too.
Sam a lower rank than Jim?
Well, I don't think he really wants to be a captain, though, right? Yeah, that's not his trajectory.
And I don't know that he's
Sam's
a
a
lower
science
rank.
nerd.
He's just in sciences, right? And Kirk went into command, and Sam went into sciences.
I'm really
okay.
interested in seeing how they're going to show Kirk coming up into being.
Well, we're gonna see him in season 2.
That's
He's
not
gonna be
J.J.
a regular
Abrams.
in season 2.
That's not J.J. Abrams style.
Absolutely
No.
zero lens flare, guys. I was all about that. I was like, yes.
Michael Greer says it was season 1.
Was season 1? The end of season
Just a
1?
quick Google.
Oh, okay.
I
All right.
couldn't remember.
So-
I knew what happens. I know where it is. I just couldn't remember if it was season 1 or season 2.
So
See,
I'm
now
gonna-
I don't. Now I
have a
don't feel bad
question.
anymore.
I have
Yes,
a
sir.
question for everyone.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask Jermaine if you can bring up that big portrait picture that I sent you.
The Matthew one?
Yes. Okay, so this is Matthew Wolf, and this is the guy that he's a voice actor predominantly, but he is the guy that did the voice of Scotty in this episode.
Right. I like that they had him. They had him there. They didn't even show him.
Yeah, now pull him back up for just a minute. I'm going to assert that they did show him. And if you can now drop that picture out and bring up the other picture. So
Danger's
if you
been prepping this, guys.
Yeah, so if you look on the right side of that image, you'll see a guy in a red shirt. And I think that's Scotty.
So is that where Scotty was standing in Balance of Terror?
Pretty close. I mean, they're actually, it's pretty close. That lady that's in blue and Scotty, I think Scotty's about where she is in the real one.
How's that?
But-
Scotty escort.
But Scotty
Andy
does
Martine?
escort the bride
Yeah.
into the room, and then he sits in the front row.
Who's that girl in the
So-
pajamas?
What's that?
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Oh,
That's a
wait,
plan.
wait.
Don't do it. Don't do
You
it.
got like head to toe pajamas. Oh wait, those are
Yeah.
boots. Those are boots.
But
Okay.
I think that guy that's standing there, it's not as sharp an image as I would like, but it looks to me to be the same face as that Matthew Wolf, and I'm wondering if they've hired him to actually be Scotty in season 2.
Should have brought his
I
son.
bet you $200
That he is or he isn't.
that he isn't.
Yeah,
Do we
I don't
actually know when Scotty got to the
$200
Empire?
kind of cheap. I mean,
I don't
kind of
think we do.
expensive for me. I could do $2.
Okay, $2. I'll tell you.
Let me ask you all another question. The end of this particular episode, we saw a touching moment between Pike and Spock. I call it that bro moment.
Yes.
It kind of, at least for me, it kind of solidified the relationship between the two of them. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
I was thinking the exact same thing. And I think that this scene sort of, in my mind,
Yes.
justifies the whole Talos thing, right? Because now Spock doesn't know exactly what was done, but he knows whatever Pike did changed his future, saved him in the future. And I think it's sort of well, they said it in the Ready Room with Will Wheaton for this episode. Ethan Peck said, it was sort of like a kind of an I love you too, man moment where they're both kind of acknowledging that they care deeply about each other. And for me, that sort of was like an aha thing behind, I can see why Spock risked everything, the potential death penalty, for rescuing Pike and taking him to Talos 4.
Yeah.
For me, that was the moment.
Is it paying
You
all
guys
debt?
are gonna think I'm mental, but when does Spock die?
See, what? Wait, what?
I mean,
Oh,
Spock dies in
You
Star
mean
Trek
in the
Beyond.
movie?
He dies in Star Trek Beyond, or at least before the events of that movie.
The J.J. Abrams film?
Spock.
That doesn't really count, does it?
Nope, that's the original Spock. Remember, he's the one who gets sucked through. He gets sucked through with Nero, and so he's from the Prime universe.
Oh,
Right,
we're talking about the late Spock, not the first time it happened on Wrath of Khan.
Right.
I mean, like,
Okay.
like actually, like die. Like he doesn't, because you guys are talking about Spock dying. So
He's
gone away.
Star Trek. Yeah, Star Trek Beyond. Yeah, he's gone. He's dead. Yeah.
Well,
right, but he's an old man and all that. It's not like he just died.
Yeah.
Somewhere. Okay.
Yeah.
I could feel like you guys are saying like he died at some point. Like he never died from Gene Roddenberry stories.
No. I think I think the young Kelvin Spock gets Prime Spock's belongings, and that's when we see the picture.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
See,
Just
I
want
knew
to make
that.
sure. Just want to make sure I
knew that.
wasn't like screwed up.
Well, you need to catch up on old Trek, sir.
that is not an old Trek thing.
That's
And
not an old Trek.
it is because it combines old Trek to new Trek,
No,
and you jumping on my case. Now it's my
Killing
turn.
me.
Hey,
Killing me.
Marie, it's old Trek when you're 14.
That's fair.
I was not 14. I was in my 20s when that movie came out.
So again, like yesterday. Gotcha.
You know what?
I'm saying you are 14 now. I was
So
y'all making me laugh, and I'm gonna die here.
So
Come on,
at the
guys.
very, very end of this particular episode, we learn a little bit about Una's fate. What do we think? Let's make some predictions. What do we think is going to happen in season 2? I would love to go to Michael. Because he's been so quiet and he always has predictions. So Michael, what you got for us?
Here we go. All here.
Well, hello everyone. Sorry that I was so
Hello, Michael.
So let me start by saying I love the setup here. I thought it was great that either 7 years from now or today, there was, or in both timelines, this fate kind of happened to Una, and it forces us to have this social discussion, and again, going to the heart of the Federation in its morals, its ethics, and its values. So I can imagine Manny doing a very deep dive in on this. So I really predict that this is going to be we're going to set up probably a 2-episode like Measure of a Man trial that has to happen, where Una's fate gets decided. I do think that they're going to not. I think they're going to kick her out of Starfleet. Not jail her, but I think that they're going to end up kicking her out of Starfleet for deception. Thinking back to Picard and oh god, what is the episode where young man is a Romulan?
The drumhead.
The drumhead. Yes. And so thinking back to that episode and his fate for deception, I think that they would have to follow that kind of theme to show the consistency with Star Trek in their values over the timeline and over the generations. Or they could try to be harsher, and we may get some really good impassioned speech from Pike, but I think ultimately she'll have to leave Starfleet.
I don't actually know that we find out what happened to Tarses. Certainly, Picard at one point makes the observation that What's-Her-Nuts has destroyed his life and his career, but we don't. I can't remember her name. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Not Tars.
His name is Simon Tarses. Her name I don't remember.
I'm trying to remember her dad's name.
I know, right? But we don't actually know that. And we certainly know that in Deep Space Nine, they end up making at least some allowance for Dr. Bashir because he didn't have, he didn't have the option. And well, I think it'll be interesting to find out if Una had control over, how much she was modified or not. Even though she did know, unlike Bashir, that she is genetically modified because she is an Illyrian. I do think we're going to see, some pretty big pushes from Pike because Pike knows he's only got 7 years left, right? And so I think he is in a better place now to just say, fuck it, I'm pulling out the stops in a way that maybe somebody who has a much longer career trajectory might not do.
Yeah.
What you got, William?
And I don't know if they'll kick her out of Starfleet because then how would she continue serving on the Enterprise? And I think she's such an integral part of the Strange New Worlds crew and cast that I don't think they would get rid of her this soon.
Yeah, I think they're going to find some type of loophole. William, what you got?
I have a question. So it was based off what Marie said, and I literally just forgot it, so I kind of feel bad right now. Okay. So I thought it was supposed to be 10 years later. It's apparently less than 7 years from when this event that's supposed to change Pike's life is supposed to happen. But at the beginning of this season, it was 10 years. Or was it 10 years from the point of discovery?
It's about 10 years in the future when he has the accident. But this point that they take him to in this episode is 7 years down the road because that's when he made this.
No, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
Wait a minute.
Right. Well, so are you saying because he changed the timeline?
I think he leaves the Enterprise for whatever reason. He leaves the Enterprise, which allows James Kirk to assume command. And then he later has the accident.
No, the accident has to happen before James T. Kirk comes on there.
That's how he becomes. That's how he gets on the ship.
Right.
No, because that accident doesn't occur on the Enterprise. That accident occurs on a training vessel. So it's entirely possible that
he's admiral at this point, right?
Yeah.
No, but the whole point is that this episode is saying that the episodes of Balance of Terror would not have happened. He would not be commanding that ship if he had not had the accident.
I know what you're saying, but I don't think that's true.
We're saying
it's the timeline is off with me right now. That's what I'm saying. It's like if this is supposed to happen 10 years later, but which is more than because Balance of Terror, by the time it happens, Okay, some ain't right. Okay, some ain't right. Marie, please do the math. I'm
No.
losing it.
I went to
Like-
law school to avoid doing math. No.
All these lawyers and teachers in this damn show, and they can't. No one do no math.
That's a social
accident-
studies, not math.
accident happens.
Ah,
The accident
ain't
happens
happening.
before Balance of Terror.
Right.
yeah. My suspicion, honestly, is that we have the accident, but I don't think it happens on the Enterprise. I think it actually happens on a training vessel, which is why we have
Right.
all those cadets down,
Right.
where they're going to get
That's possible.
where they're going
So
to get melted.
Was he? Yeah. Was he
And I think
captain or?
I agree.
Pike, and I think Pike, does a tour on the Enterprise and then is invited to come down and teach at Starfleet Academy, and that's where things start to go a little pear-shaped. And since Pike now knows that his fate is inevitable, he's going to take it rather than fight it.
Which
No,
is,
I think that
yeah.
it can't be that, because he would be, if it wasn't for the accident, he would be commanding the Enterprise the whole time. Maybe he just went down for a day or two to get on this one ship, but he would be commanding the Enterprise if not for the accident.
What if let's just say that he was offered, just like Chief O'Brien was. Let's say he was offered a somewhat teaching position before. Maybe this is his thing before becoming admiral. I don't know. And he decides to turn it down, which explains, like, not only is he on the Enterprise, but he kept most of the same crew. Otherwise, we should have saw Chekhov and Sulu and a couple of others by this point, right?
By that
Or am I
point,
losing it?
maybe by that point.
You definitely see Chekhov in Teal, like James Kirk, and Sulu. I don't think Sulu arrives until James Kirk is captain.
Right, but he's
That's
saying
what-
that
that's what
he's
I'm
saying
saying.
that James Kirk would have been captain in Balance of Terror, or in this alternate future when Pike was captain. So Sulu and Scotty should have been there on that ship, is what
Right.
William is saying.
Right. So, what were the dates again? This happened in 2366. What year is it right now in as Strange New Worlds?
But you got to also think that sometimes, depending on who the captain is, that determines whether or not I'm going to stay on the ship, I'm going to leave the ship, I'm going to seek something else. You know what I'm saying?
It does.
Right.
Sure.
So we
Absolutely.
know that Pike's injury takes place in 2266 because Spock makes the observation that the accident happened sometime before the events of Balance of Terror. It would have been about 6 months. According to the menagerie, what happens is Pike is off on an inspection of a cadet vessel. There's no conversation about whether or not he was still serving on the Enterprise at that juncture.
Right. We forget the fact that, like, we buy into this narrative of, like, time changes, that you change one thing and everything else is the same. And we buy into that because that's how we have to follow the story. But in reality, changing one thing, changing one captain, could change a whole slew of who's on board the Enterprise, who's at the helm, who's
Agreed.
the
So-
engineer.
Agreed.
So online,
Jason's
it's
point. Thanks for this
saying-
episode.
saying Strange New Worlds takes place in 2259.
Okay.
Currently, it's about 6 years before Captain Kirk's earliest adventure on the Enterprise, in Where No Man Has Gone Before.
So, are we talking about 10 years from the first episode of Strange New Worlds, or 10 years from the point that we learned in Discovery?
But we don't know, and from Where No Man
Probably
Has Gone
Discovery.
Before, if that's Kirk's first voyage as the captain. Like, we have no idea. It sort of begins in medias res.
So,
All right, y'all.
Whatever.
That's a rabbit
Whatever.
hole. That's a rabbit hole.
Right,
We got about
it is.
2 minutes.
I mean,
I got
again,
one question. I got one more question. Why do you think this show is so good or not so good?
Oh well.
Ooh.
I think it's good, number one, because it gives you a reflection of the original show in a modern era. Number one, I think the writing on most of the episodes so far is good. I still like Discovery better, but that's just me. It's just a good modern Trek. I think that the people writing it are actually looking at old episodes, which is important. You have to know, when you see an episode, you have to know that the people writing this have looked at some previous shows, and that idea is more important than a lot of things. And I see that in a lot of these episodes. They've taken a lot of time to look at what has brought them here.
Roy, what you got?
Well, they have to because Star Trek fans are, so canon is like Bible to them.
Which is like the last 10 minutes proved.
Right?
So,
Yeah, Roy, why do you think this show is so good?
so I'm going to go out on a limb. And this is actually my favorite Strange New Worlds episode so far. Before it was, Spock Amok or whatever that one was called, but this one was pretty good, and they put a lot of effort into it. And being a TOS fan, I mean, I have to just see how it ties into TOS, and of course, I love that original series.
Good.
So that's why.
Danger, what you got?
I think it's good for a couple of reasons. One, I think that we actually get to see interaction with the bridge crew versus in Discovery, you barely know the names of the bridge crew. Here we are in season 4, right? Because it's all about other people. And William, you back me up on that, right? And I think the other thing that makes it such a good Trek is that each episode is a standalone episode. We have serialized character arcs, but we have standalone episodes, and we've seen such a variety in the episodes. The last one was almost a comedy in the way Pike was, or was it the last one? The Elysium one.
Two ago.
Yeah, 2 ago, where Pike was such a cowardly, lion sort of guy. It was almost a comedy, and we've seen tragedies, and we've seen like submarine World War II battles and all kinds of stuff. And so each episode is kind of unique, and I think some episodes will appeal to some people and some episodes might appeal to someone else because of what their interests are. And I think it gives every fan something to look at. Whereas if you've got a season-long arc and you don't like the way the story's going, you're kind of stuck because that story is going to run the whole season. So yeah, and I think there's good chemistry between the characters as well, between the actors and the characters. So,
Michael, what you got?
Ditto just about everything Danger said.
Yeah.
Well, they did that with TNG though. They did that like in the Barclay episode where everybody was on the holodeck, and they had Riker being like the cowardly man.
Right.
So that was interesting too. Sorry to step on you, Michael Greer. No. Go ahead.
No, you're good. And so I think to that point, one of the things that really makes this so good is that they show a true range of the actors, of the bridge crew, and they do it through tight storytelling. Yep. And I like allowing us to see that range of the actors really allows us to like be pulled in and truly invested in the characters. But again, to Danger's point, as well as Jason's, they went back and they read it. It reads like people who love Trek wrote this season. And
agreed. Yeah.
People, even if I don't agree with all of the decisions they made, I can tell that people love Trek that wrote this, and they got out of their way. And it wasn't like, we have to do this, we have to speak to this. And they were like, we know how to be politically, to speak to the social problems and social change that's going on. And we know how to write Trek. Get out of our way. And it seems like someone just got out of the writer's room when they were supposed to and let the writers take over.
William.
Yep.
I think that this entire season 100% answers the question, what would TOS be like if it were made post 2020?
Yep.
Agreed. I am here for all of it. I'm here for all of it. I love that they didn't. It's like 3 strikes. They had strike 1 with Discovery. They had strike 2 with Picard. And so this third one, they were going to be out with us. Like, it's just like now you.
Speak for yourself, my man.
Wait a minute. Before you were like, no, I love Picard. What's happening?
He was all over.
I'm not done. Hold on. First of all, let me. Okay. Now.
It's his show. He's got the stage.
Thank you. I'm number 1 right now. Thank you. So anyway, what I was saying.
I'm about to bank my head to the right.
You have the conch, my friend.
what I was saying is that I've listened to you guys and I've read the comments and I've read the other Facebook posts that there's a lot of disdain for a lot of Discovery and season 2 of Picard. That's fine. That's what I'm saying. Strike 1, strike 2, and if you miss out on Strange New Worlds, you're done. You're like, we don't care if Star Wars takes the flag and runs with it. We're done. Well, they hit the ball on the mark. They paid homage not just to Enterprise, but future Trek shows. Like, I caught the joke from Pike when he said, I feel like that the beard thing needs to go to another captain, and we all know who that is. So I was like, oh my god, this is great. Like, I'm here for all of this. So it definitely answers that question. It answers the question. They didn't try to do anything new. I like that. They did like new situations, but they didn't try to do anything new, if you hear what I'm trying to say. They didn't pull a season 1 of Discovery on us and said, oh, this never happened. Oh, we don't care what they look like. Oh, they
still though, if I was to tell someone who has never watched any Star Trek whatsoever and they wanted to watch something modern, I would tell them to watch Discovery. I would not tell them to watch Strange New Worlds. If they weren't a Star Trek fan, yes.
I feel that.
Well, and I do
I
understand why, because it has that movie quality. So I understand what you're saying when you say that. William, were you done?
And plus, you don't have to know a lot of the history of Trek to get into Discovery.
Right.
And
the last thing is,
tell them to watch the first 3 seasons.
And I will say, I still affirm it. I don't care what anyone says. William personally loves Picard. And I'm staying on that, and I don't care what anyone says. Because
I'm with you, William.
Because
you mean the show? I thought you meant the person.
The show.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm with you.
But my thing is, last thing. My thing is like, I already know the story. I Strange New Worlds is pretty much starting over for me. I already watched TNG and Deep Space Nine and Voyager. To me, Picard is a continuation story, so I could give two shits if it's episodic or not. Like, I love a continuation story.
It's not a continuation story because we really don't learn about the Alpha Quadrant much. We just learn about.
I don't give a shit about the Alpha Quadrant. I wanted to learn about Picard. I said what I said. Like it's just like.
All right, Marie.
I agree with everybody. I think Strange New Worlds is a Star Trek for Star Trek fans. For example, this episode just sort of exemplifies that, and so does Spock Amok, because like it's so much richer if you know the background and you know the history.
Oh, absolutely.
And so they're getting to play with a lot of concepts, banking on this audience, and I think that was a little different than the approach they had in Discovery. I think the characters are great. And I certainly think that I think there's a chemistry between the actors that we all saw in Discovery. And that's just magic. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Like, I mean, could you imagine? We all love, Firefly is great, but it's great because of the chemistry between the actors and the characters.
It's just old.
So I think that's the same sort of phenomenon, and there was no guarantee. There's never a guarantee that that's going to happen. And I think a lot of that chemistry had to be built in Discovery in ways that, did or didn't work, depending.
And like Friends.
Yeah. So look, I'm assuming, Marie, you're done?
What about Jermaine?
Okay. So look, we are already almost 8 minutes over time. I'm simply going to say ditto to Roy, ditto to Danger, ditto to Michael, ditto to Jason, ditto to William, and ditto to Marie. I agree with all of you all. I really did love the character development in Strange New Worlds. I also really so even though it's episodic, right? There was something that kind of carried with it. Right, from episode to episode.
Oh,
and like if you're able to do that, you can still enjoy and you can still love it. I did love the homages to TOS. I thought those episodes were wonderfully done. I really it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I will say this though, in terms of season 2, they plan on taking Star Trek in a different direction. I don't know exactly what that means. According to Ready Room, they're gonna take Strange New Worlds in a different direction. Don't know what that is. But y'all,
let me say one thing.
What you got? Quickly,
I
30 seconds.
Say, I can't look at Jim Kirk without seeing Jim Carrey. That's all all I got.
I can't unsee it now either. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Damn it, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
And with that, goodbye. Have a wonderful evening.
Now, again, I'm going to say this again because we're near the end of our show. If you are our allies, we are not talking to you. We are not talking to you. This does not. Okay? We're not talking to you. Stop trying to take our and make it your goddamn business. It ain't got nothing to do with you. It ain't got nothing to do with you.
Our experience of grief independently.
Bruh.
Yes.
I love that they're in the comments.
So much is like I'm just reading the comments.
Yeah. They should brought their child out. Such a good point, Will. God, that's such a good point. And he's really thought about it too. You should be here. William, get over here.
I thought he had a girlfriend on Insta. It's been ages since I've mucked about, but
Okay, moving on. Let's move on.
we gotta move on.